My name is Nora. I am 27 years old, and I live alone in a small apartment in the city. Every day of my life looks almost the same. I wake up early before the sun feels warm. I shower, drink coffee, eat toast, and leave the apartment. In the evening, I come back, cook a simple meal for one person, eat in silence, watch television without really watching, and go to bed. The days pass quietly, like pages that all look the same. I am not unhappy, but I am not truly happy either. My life feels gray. Once a week, my parents call me. The conversation is always gentle at first. They ask about my job, my health, whether I am eating well. Then, as always, the question comes. When will you get married, Nora? I laugh softly and say I do not know yet. I try to sound calm, but after the call ends, I sit in silence for a long moment. I feel pressure, not because they are unkind, but because I also want more from life. I want someone to share dinner with. I want laughter instead of quiet walls. Still, I tell myself to be patient. Things take time. 2 weeks ago, I started a new job at a large company. The building is tall, with 5 floors and endless hallways. People walk fast, talk fast, and always seem busy. I work in the finance department, surrounded by numbers, reports, and screens. Because I am new, I am careful with everything I do. I check my work again and again. I am afraid of making mistakes. I want to belong here. I want to prove that I deserve this job. On Monday morning, something changed. The office suddenly became quieter than usual. Chairs stopped moving. Voices faded. People sat up straighter. Someone whispered his name. Mark. The head of the department. He rarely came down from the top floor. I saw him walking between the desks. He was tall, dressed in a dark suit, his expression serious and unreadable. He did not smile. He did not rush. His presence made the room feel smaller, tighter. When he reached my desk, he stopped. "You must be Nora," he said. My heart jumped. He knew my name. He held out his hand. His handshake was firm but calm. "Welcome to the company." For a brief moment, he looked directly at me. Not through me, not past me, but at me. In that second, something strange happened. In a place where I had felt invisible since the day I arrived, I suddenly felt seen. Then he moved on, and the office breathed again. But I stayed still, my heart beating faster than before, wondering why one simple moment had made me feel like I truly existed. After that morning, something inside Nora quietly shifted. She did not suddenly become brave or confident, but she began to care more. Not only about keeping her job, but about proving to herself that she belonged there. She started arriving earlier than everyone else, when the office lights were still soft and the air felt calm. She stayed later too, often leaving when the cleaning staff arrived. Work became more than a routine. It became a purpose. Nora checked every number twice. Sometimes 3 times. She read reports slowly, line by line, afraid of missing even the smallest detail. While others talked during breaks, she stayed at her desk. Not because she disliked people, but because she was scared of failing. She was new. She was young. She did not want to give anyone a reason to doubt her. One evening, while reviewing a large spending report from the previous year, Nora noticed something strange. The numbers did not match. At first, she thought it was her mistake. She recalculated everything. Then she checked the original files. Her heart began to beat faster. 3 accounts were missing from the total. It was not a small error. It was a serious one. She looked at the clock. Most people had already gone home. She could have closed the file and told her manager the next day, but something stopped her. If this report went forward with wrong numbers, the mistake would hurt the department. So she stayed. The hours passed quietly. The office grew dark. Nora ordered no dinner. She drank cold coffee and kept working. By the time she finished correcting the report and preparing a clear explanation, it was almost 9 at night. She left the building exhausted, but with a strange sense of pride she had not felt before. The next morning, Mark came down to their floor again. He walked straight to Nora's desk. Conversations stopped. People watched. "Did you find the error in the spending report?" he asked. Nora's hands trembled slightly. "Yes, sir," she said. "Good job." 2 words. Simple. Calm. But they landed in her chest like something warm and bright. For the first time in her working life, Nora felt real pride. Not relief. Not fear leaving her body. Pride. Mark turned to leave, then paused. For just a second, the corner of his mouth lifted. It was almost a smile. Then it was gone. He walked away as if nothing important had happened. But for Nora, everything had changed. The grayness in her days felt lighter now. She had a goal. She wanted to do well, not just for the job, but for that feeling. The feeling of being seen. Of being trusted. Of knowing that her work mattered. 2 words had done what months of routine never could. They gave her confidence. And for the first time in a long while, Nora looked forward to tomorrow. The mistake happened on a Friday afternoon, when the week had already drained Nora's energy. She was tired, rushing to finish her tasks before the weekend, and that was when it happened. One wrong click. One email sent to the wrong address. The message contained confidential financial information meant only for internal review. As soon as she pressed send, her stomach dropped. Her hands went cold. She stared at the screen, hoping she was wrong. She checked the address again. She was not wrong. Within minutes, her manager's phone rang. Shortly after that, Nora received a short message that made her heart stop. "Mark wants to see you. Top floor. Now." The elevator ride felt endless. Her legs shook as she stepped into his office, a quiet space filled with glass, light, and an uncomfortable sense of authority. Mark sat behind his desk, his face calm but unreadable. He did not ask her to sit at first. "You sent confidential information to a client," he said. "Yes, sir. I'm very sorry. It was a mistake." She felt tears rising, but she forced herself to stand still. This was it. She had worked so hard, and now it was over. "This is serious, Nora," Mark said. His voice was firm, not angry, which somehow made it worse. She nodded, unable to speak. Then something unexpected happened. Mark stood up, walked to a small cabinet, and took out a box of tissues. He handed one to her quietly. "Sit down," he said. He did not shout. He did not threaten. Instead, he sat on the edge of his desk, closer now, no longer just a boss behind a barrier. "Everyone makes mistakes," he said. "What matters is whether they learn from them." For the next 30 minutes, he showed her a system he personally used to prevent errors. He explained calmly, step by step. He even admitted that he had made the same mistake early in his career, and his boss had not been kind at all. "I promised myself I wouldn't lead that way," he said. Nora listened, overwhelmed not by fear anymore, but by gratitude. When she left his office, she was still shaken, but she was not broken. After that day, something subtle changed between them. Mark began coming to their floor more often. Sometimes he stopped by Nora's desk to ask short, professional questions. Nothing personal. Nothing inappropriate. Then came the mornings. Nora often arrived early, when the office was quiet. One morning, she found Mark in the small coffee area, making coffee alone. "Good morning, Nora," he said. "Good morning," she replied. They spoke about simple things. The quiet. Work focus. The weather. He poured her a cup of coffee without asking how she took it, then corrected himself and smiled slightly. "Milk, right?" "Yes," she said, surprised. These moments were brief. Polite. Warm. And carefully contained. Nora felt something growing inside her, something dangerous and gentle at the same time. But she reminded herself every day. He is your boss. This is a line you do not cross. And so they did not. They stayed on their side of the line. even as something unspoken quietly settled between them. The truth came from Tess on an ordinary afternoon, spoken in a low voice between spreadsheets and half-finished coffee. "You know Mark got divorced 2 years ago, right?" Tess said. Nora looked up, surprised. "No, I didn't. He lives alone," Tess continued. "No kids. Just work. He basically sleeps in his office sometimes." The information stayed with Nora longer than it should have. It explained the quiet intensity around him, the way work seemed to be his entire world. It also made her feel something she tried hard to push away: understanding, sympathy, and something more dangerous than both. Not long after, Mark invited Nora to join a major department project. It was high pressure, high visibility, the kind of assignment that could define a career. In the meeting, he spoke clearly. "Nora has the strongest attention to detail on the team. That's why I want her on this." There was no special tone. No private glance. Just professional recognition, delivered in front of everyone. Nora felt the weight of it. This was not favoritism. This was trust. They worked late nights during that project, often in different rooms, communicating through documents and brief updates. Mark was demanding but fair. Nora grew into the work, confident in her ability, proud of what she could do. Then came the night when everything slowed down. Rain fell hard against the office windows. Most of the building was dark. Nora was packing her bag when Mark appeared at her desk. "Do you have a moment?" he asked. They went to his office, not to the desk, but to the small seating area near the window. The city lights blurred through the rain. "I need to say something clearly," Mark began. He paused, choosing his words with care. "These past months, you've brought calm into my life. When we talk, even briefly, I feel peace. That hasn't happened in a long time." Nora's heart raced, but she stayed silent. "But," he continued, "I will not allow that to become something that could hurt you. Not your reputation. Not your career. Not your sense of safety here." He explained what he had already started. He had spoken to HR. Nora would be reassigned to another manager. Or he would step back from direct oversight of her role. Everything would be documented. Clean. Clear. "I don't want power anywhere near your name," he said. "If anything ever happens between us, it must be equal. Or it must not happen at all." The words settled slowly. Mark was not reaching for her. He was protecting her. A few days later, HR confirmed the change. Mark was no longer Nora's direct manager. The line that had once held them apart was gone, carefully and correctly. One evening, as Nora was leaving the building, Mark walked beside her to the elevator. "There's something I'd like to ask you," he said, his voice quieter now. She looked at him, not as her boss, but as a man standing at the same level. "Can I take you to dinner?" he asked, a small smile appearing, as just Mark. The elevator doors closed. And Nora had a choice to make. That night, Nora did not sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet sounds of the city outside her small apartment. Mark's question repeated in her mind, soft but persistent. As just Mark. Not her boss. Not a title. Just a man. Still, fear came first. She imagined the whispers at work. She imagined her parents' worried voices on the phone, asking difficult questions about age, reputation, and security. She imagined the possibility that she was nothing more than a warm presence filling the empty space in a lonely man's life. What if this was not love, but timing? What if she was convenient? The next day, Mark did not push. He did not message her. He did not wait by her desk or look for signs. He treated her exactly the same as before. Professional. Calm. Respectful. Days passed. When Nora finally spoke to him, it was in the open space near the elevators, during lunch break. "I need to be honest," she said. Mark nodded. He listened without interrupting. "I don't want to be someone's comfort after loss," Nora continued. "I don't want to be a reward, a replacement, or a step forward in someone else's life. If I say yes, it has to be equal. I need love that stands beside me, not above me. Mark did not rush to respond. Then he said quietly, "That's exactly what I want too." He didn't promise forever. He didn't talk about marriage or the future. He promised only clarity. "We move at your pace," he said. "Public when you are ready. No secrets. No pressure. If you change your mind, I will respect that." That was the moment Nora understood. Respect was not in words. It was in patience. She said yes. Their first dinner was simple. A small restaurant. 2 plates. No grand speeches. Just conversation, honest and warm. They talked about books, childhood memories, quiet fears. Mark listened the same way he always had. Fully. They continued slowly. Coffee walks. Weekend lunches. Nothing hidden, nothing rushed. At work, Nora remained steady. She worked hard. She earned her place every day. When colleagues noticed, it was because of her results, not rumors. When her parents asked questions, she answered with calm certainty. "This is my choice," she said. And she meant it. Nora realized something important then. Her life did not gain color because someone noticed her. It gained color because she learned to choose herself. She was no longer waiting to be chosen. She was choosing.